I'll start by letting Katja introduce yourself when we have her around.
Hi, or hey. My name is Katja Vauhkonen. I'm from Finland. I'm director of IndieCo, which is a Finnish indie label association, but I'm also an artist manager and a PR person.
Thank you. Hugo.
Hi, my name is Hugo Karman. I'm a manager and I'm also having a small label as well. So.
My name is Magnus Bjerkert and I run the label Adrian Recordings, which I've done for 25 years now actually. So quite a long time. It's an indie label with 10 to 15 active artists at the same time. But through the years I worked with a lot of music. So I've been experiencing both lots of ups and downs in the indie label world. Yeah.
Thank you. Henrietta.
I'm Henrietta. I'm from Germany, Berlin, and I'm also a record label owner, music manager, publisher, booker, PR person. I founded the company 3 years ago, so I'm in the very difficult first 5 years, and that's like the way to get like certain income from different actions. And I'm also a board member of the VOT. It's the Independent Association in Germany.
Thank you. Andreas.
Hello, I'm Andreas from Switzerland. I have a label called Mouthwatering Records, and I'm the president of IndieSuisse. That's the independent label association in Switzerland.
Thank you all, guys. Did you see the last panel? Any reflections on, let's start with you, Henrietta. You're just starting a new music company, fresh off the ground. What kind of background, what inspired you to do that? What did you know about running a company?
I'm also, I was a manager before, and we were considering, okay, where are we going to put out the new record of the band? But also I've been working as a label manager and product manager in a label a long time. And I always knew that I want to do like a bit like a different way and more internationally and not so focused on the German market, and like also a focus on the German market, of course. But yeah, I always wanted to do stuff like this by myself and also grow a company. I think it's very interesting. And yeah, that was like the start, actually. Like the band had this record and we were thinking, okay, what we're gonna do with it now? And then I said, okay, maybe it's time for me to finally make the step and found a new company.
And you told me the other day that you release digitally, of course, but also cassettes you're talking about.
Yeah, as well, yeah. All of the releases in vinyl, actually, on vinyl. Yeah. And cassettes, sometimes mostly the punk records. Like it's mostly alternative punk garage music that I release, and the punk cassettes, they go well actually, and lots of people are into it. It's good merchandise and it's a nice format, I think.
And do you work a lot with like TikTok and social media for the music that you release, or what kind of PR ways do you seek?
Actually, I never worked like with a real like social media campaign or streaming in the past years. But I am starting now to make like some action points and to really make a plan on if I have a band, like what kind of tools should we actually do, like on Spotify, do we use the canvas or like stuff like this. But also I have some artists that are really like annoyed by all this like oversharing, or like when you open your phone, you're just like bam, 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 you get so much information and everything. And so I also have artists that want to be like minimal and just put out the music and are not on social media, but then they tour a lot and they have support from Bandcamp. They had it in some playlists and some features, and that works well. But yeah, now I also want to be able as a label, as also it was told on the panel before, like to use these tools right. It's important actually. And there's some artists that are up for it and that also fit into it, and some artists like a punk band that does like TikToks. I don't think that a lot of like the audience would be into that we actually have.
Someone who is an expert and works with other genres show me really cool stuff that could be done in all kinds of genres, I guess. I'm not a PR expert, but Katja, can you tell me how you work? Because you do PR professionally?
Yeah,
For-
that's one of my jobs. But I work mainly with metal and rock scene, and luckily there still goes some of the old habits and the old ways, like trying to figure out the whole PR marketing package as one bigger thing, like thinking through albums, thinking through tours, thinking through what kind of merch you're doing and all that. And I guess like for TikTok, I also work with bands who have been around for 30 years. So it has been like a hard discussion on suddenly telling them that I think you should start doing some TikToks, like how you do your coffee in the morning. And, you know, but I feel like every artist in PR wise should also do the things that comes natural with them. You can also try to do some campaigns just by doing it. But I mean, luckily TikTok is, if we talk about that now, it's a good channel also just to try things, because you never know. Nobody knows what's gonna be big there. So yeah, but I mean, it's one part of my job, but I still try to focus on what's actually the musical, what's the music about, what's the band about, what's natural for them. And then if there's some part of that that could be shared on TikTok, then it works. But trying to figure out something brand new just because of trying to get them name out, I'm not sure if that works.
No. But since you work with metal and hard rock, and in my impression that if you think of the assets for an artist being like copyright and neighboring rights, sorry, I'm a lawyer, that's why I'm sort of but the industry is an industry of where we trade with immaterial rights apart from the live performances. So the personal brands of metal bands are very often super clear communicated. It's Gesamtkunst, where you have sorry for the German loan word, but where you communicate with the lyrics. I mean, as we all know, but you're just breaking it down. And the metal bands are often very. It's also about storytelling. Now I'm sort of asking because I don't know PR, but people tell me storytelling is like social media thing. And storytelling is like also part of what the artists do, regardless of genre. But the upside of the metal acts, for example, is that they are clear. They have a clear logotype. They have a clear name, so you can from a distance see, oh, that music is something I like. How, Hugo and Magnus, you start. When you work with other genres that don't have such a clear brand profile from the genre, how do you approach similar?
I think it's very important that you try to figure out the artist or band's image or story or whatever it might be, and it all comes from the music. You start with the music, you try to see what's there in the music that you can explore, like turn into graphics, turn into videos, turn into posters, so everything. So you try to extract that from the music in one way, and it's very important to make that clear, make that rather simple, so you can communicate it fairly easy to audience and so.
And a good example is Bob Hund, for example.
Yeah, but I wasn't there at the start when
No.
they started, but I work with a band called Bob Hund, and it's a good example because it comes natural for them. They are like 6 cartoon characters, and that's a very easy way to brand in one way. But I try to do that with all my artists and try to. Yeah, it's not cynical. It's just a way to make the artist more important, to take themselves a little bit more seriously sometimes as well, and really concentrate on what they do and see, so they don't spread out in all different directions.
Yeah,
It's very,
I agree. And just to try to be clear to the audience, if I call something a brand, it's just because it is sort of legally, or it could be, and that's an asset. And it's not disrespectful. It's about we all as labels, and I'm sure the artists want to reach an audience with what you create. So discussing PR, branding or trademarks or personal brands, in my opinion, that's just like theory to practice. What are your thoughts, Hugo? You also have other artists.
Yeah, but like, I mean, it's. I think, like as you say, you start with music. Music is something that, like, I mean, you listen to and there's different emotions and you connect differently, and I think it's always been like that. It's like you listen to a song and like you get happy or sad, or like you listen to music when you're getting a divorce or when you fall in love. And when we talk about storytelling and like that's the story we want to communicate. And when it social media is, it's just platforms. It's like newspapers and everything else. It's just finding a way how to communicate and like tell the story. And I think that's the most important thing, because I mean now it's so much music and there's so many people, and like the platforms. I mean, before you had 2 stories in the newspaper, like, because the journalists choose who to write about, and you got someone listening to you and writing the story for you. Now it's up to the artist and the management and the label to tell people the story, and you need to compete against everybody who is selling something, which is everybody on social media, which also that music is not just competing with music, it's competing with selling jeans and shoes and food as well. So it becomes very difficult, and I think like for the labels and the artists, like it's so easy to start looking at what other people do. I think I remember when like Instagram started to happen, and like everybody was using it as they were influencers. And like if you look at your friends, they're posting stuff, and it's like but why? Like, because it's a habit, and like because this is what you do and you can make money, so this is how you do it, even though you don't make money, this is how you do it. And suddenly like everybody is posting and doing the same thing, and it's very difficult to be innovative in that sense.
So it's a culture or a style that sort of developed.
Yeah.
But I wanted to connect, because you work with Joshua Iden, and music videos was there even before Instagram, and that is also like an enhanced form of storytelling.
Yeah,
Would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. But I think it's like, I mean, again, like first of all, you need to understand why you're doing it. Like that's the foundation of it. Like people are like making music and releasing music, and I think like the habit of releasing music. Before, again, it's like you were a demo band, or you were in the rehearsal studio and you were trying out stuff. Now people don't try out stuff. People release it and hope to be successful about it. So before, you had so much more time to develop and try to understand and try to like nourish and develop the story. And then when it comes to social media, again, I think it's important to like again understand and understand what you're trying to say, or trying to tell the audience. And also, I think different platforms is good for different things.
Yeah.
So if you're going to be super successful, you need to understand how to communicate your story in different ways for the different platforms, which takes a lot of time and a lot of effort and a lot of knowledge.
Yeah. Andreas, you are also a DJ, but you're also a label, or no? Okay.
It was a long time ago.
Okay. But what kind of music do you work with mainly? And are you involved in the PR, or is that more marketing? Because you and I were talking about the marketing strategies and how to create visibility on like Spotify and trying out different things.
Yeah, I'm very involved in marketing, especially in the ad marketing, and we completely changed our model how we communicate for our artists. And I think like Black Sea Dahu, the thing I'm wearing here, the shirt, it's a good example. So there we really just focused on one strategy for a long time now. And it's an indie folk band. They're fantastic live. So the only strategy we did is like just having live session video clips and really like communicating in a couple of seconds what it's all about. So it's completely honest. It's just like showing a band playing music, and we played them out on Instagram, 9:16 formats, and we just drove all the audience to Spotify. That's the whole strategy on that band, and we were able to grow like an audience in like half of Europe, and now we're selling tickets in between 500 to 1,500 capacities.
Cool.
And it's really the only strategy. So I think it's pretty simple sometimes, and you don't need like a lot of like platforms. And then maybe next to it, you need to then grow like a sustainable possibility to touch the audience you got through Instagram and maybe on Spotify, but because it's both platforms where we don't feel that we can maybe communicate with our fans in 5 to 10 years. Yeah. So we try to build up newsletters or like fan clubs or all that kind of like maybe more sustainable possibilities to communicate.
And that's sort of what Oscar said, that email is that the sustainable
it is
social media, the only thing that will last. I will see if that's what he said. But is that instrumental music, or is that music with lyrics?
It's music with lyrics. Yeah.
And Magnus, what do you you work with also more electronic acts sometimes? Do you have different approach to that?
Every artist needs a different approach. Every artist needs a different kind of setup. I've been working with everything from minimal techno, ambient electronic to hardcore and thrash metal. I mean, it's been all over the place, but it's not really so different because everything needs to be focused on what the music is about and what the artist is about. So, well, yeah, you do different setups. I mean, if you do electronic music, obviously you need to be more club-oriented. You need to find maybe set up your own club nights or listening parties or what you do, and find the right venues for that and stuff like that. So, well, yeah, everything is diverse, really.
And if we go back to sort of the A&R perspective, how were you as managers or labels? Where do you find the talent? Is that by network, or do you discover anything on the new social media platforms, or is it the traditional, the old school way? Or you don't sign new acts?
For me, it's also from my friends and friends of friends. And in Berlin, we have a very vibing scene, lots of great young punk bands, and go to the shows and we meet them there. And I also get a lot of requests, submissions, but I hardly find the time to even listen to it because I work so much. And that I signed one band that I didn't know from people that I know. And that's mostly it's from a scene, actually.
I actually signed one band to my management by email.
Ah, cool.
So that's the
was
the
there was
classic
any
one.
music connected to the
Yeah,
email?
they just send me an email and I listen to it and I signed them. So
Good. Okay, guys. What do you want to talk about? Because you don't want to talk about social media, and I don't know shit about social media. Do we have any questions from the audience on this topic? Feel free to raise your hands. Otherwise, we can also add... Yeah, go on.
Yeah, I was thinking of some case from myself. What I could say here in this round is how I find my audience is like with this one band who are not on social media. They played with another band from England once, like years ago. Then when we were on tour, they told me like, yeah, this band also said maybe we can do a tour together. Then I was like, okay, give me the contact. Then I booked a full UK tour, which is not so common for a young punk band from Germany. And I invited press, like I researched a lot of press, then I invited them to the show, then we got a good article. Then last month I just went to Aalborg to a festival, and the director, he said like, yeah, this journalist, he told me about the band because he saw them in London. And that is gonna like give us another opportunity to play at other festivals and like to find our audience. It's a lot of researching and really communicating with people and inviting them to shows if you're in town. And I also went to the record stores here and introduced like my label when I arrived in Stockholm, and really try to, talk with the people. Like it's taking a lot of time also, obviously, like email would be quicker, but in email you don't get like responses all the time. So yeah, that's very analog actually.
And Hugo, with Joshua, he's a bit special. It's like, is it correct to describe him as a spoken word artist originally, or how would you say?
Yeah, I mean, and I think it's an interesting case because like he should really work on social media. Like, I mean, again, he's a poet and he's great with words, but I don't like the big thing with him is the live shows. Like, and from the beginning, we said it's just like trying to get him in front of as many people as possible, because that's where I'm like, like when we did the first European tour, I think like he was playing venues and it was like 30-40 people in the venue, but he sold 30-40 vinyls.
Oh.
Like because he was connecting, and like even if it's good on social media, it's not the same thing. It's like it's really hard to translate what he's doing live to the social media, and it's like when you look at it, it's like, oh, this should really work, and it's like, but it's like he needs to be an actor in that sense because it's comedy and it's tragedy. Like it's so much emotions. It's so hard to translate that into social media. And I mean, again, I'm working with Virgin Music on the distribution side, and then they've been on my like saying that he needs to be on TikTok all the time, and he's not really. It's like he's posting a few things, but like, and he's really strong on Instagram. So again, I think like there's so many truth in the music business. Like you need to be there, and you need to do social medias, and you need like there's, and I think that's one thing for the labels to like push to the artists, because then you're doing something, and it feels so. Sometimes it feels so difficult to like you don't know what to do, and you release you release a single, and it's like if you're not posting on social media, and like there's no articles or like someone is writing about it on a blog, but nothing is happening. So you're sitting there, and it's like, how can I get this music in front of people? And it's like it's so difficult because it's so just saying to people like, I mean, post, you need to post and you need to be on TikTok, and it's like it's an easy way to just tell people to do something, because it's much harder to like try to figure out like, so what do I want to say? How do I connect with people? It's like, is it through social media, or should I like take my guitar and be a street musician? And like there's and I think labels are very much like be on social media, because then you're doing something. But it's like, yeah, it's,
I guess one thing that I try to tell all the artists is also that, well, at least in Finland, we have there isn't that many music medias anymore. Like, for example, for the metal and the rock scene, there's so few, and the music isn't played on the radio. So it's not social media anymore. It's basically media that you're doing. And I have like a few artists that their own channels, like Instagram, still Facebook, and maybe TikTok. The channels are so huge that they reach the right people through their own channels instead of having some journalist writing an article to a newspaper, and then, you know, that's kind of like nowadays something extra or bonus. And the whole thing that is happening around the releases or the tours or whatever the artist is doing, the first thing is always to check on their social media accounts.
Yeah, I think in terms of the media, I feel it's fantastic now, because a couple of years ago we always had to kind of beg that they maybe like do something with our great artists, and now it's completely different. So we know that if we have a great artist, we can reach the audience directly, and I think that's a huge plus. So it's kind of, if we start working with an artist, it's kind of, you're fantastic, you're great, we love you, and we're gonna get an audience for you because we know that there is an audience, and we can kind of touch the audience, which I think completely changed the way also how we communicate. And we don't care about like radio and media, and it's good to have maybe, but it's not like, it's like having an editorial playlist on Spotify. You never know if you're gonna get it, and I would never ever focus on playlists.
But again, like having Joshua as an example, it's like, again, it's different, because with him we could, like, we got BBC in the UK, and we could see every time BBC was playing his track, because he got like 100 and 150 more followers on Instagram, and we had a tour on sale, and every time they played, we sold 50 to 100 tickets, which means that when they started playing it, it took us 2 weeks, and we sold out the tour. So like each, like, and then you can have an artist have an A rotation on national radio, and nothing is happening. So it's, again, it's like, it's so different depending on what kind of music or what kind of artist you have. So again, like finding out like what's your strength as an artist. Like if I mean, again, like Joshua's doing dance music and spoken word, which means that it stands out in like an everyday playlist on radio, like, then it makes sense. Then it's like, it's super important to get those spot plates. It's like, it's more important for us to get BBC to play it 1, 2, 3, or 4 times, because we're going to sell 500 tickets, and he's going to gain 500 more followers on Instagram than doing a TikTok post, because his fans isn't there, and it's hard to translate what he's doing into TikTok, or we haven't figured it out how to do that, which means like, okay, we can spend hours trying to figure that out and see if we get there, or we can continue working on the outlets where we see it actually working already.
I think we put a little bit too much focus on TikTok in terms of like the artists have to communicate on TikTok, because I feel, or I see that it's more important that the TikTok users are using the music we are releasing. So actually we don't need the artist being great on TikTok. It's just we need to make sure that the music is being used on TikTok. So I think that's completely different.
Yes, but it's also a generation thing. I feel that there are subcultures. The R&B and hip hop artists have been really good at being on TikTok, doing that really well. And now I feel it started to go into the rock scene as well. It's the 13 to 19 years old that are on TikTok that really, I know bands in Sweden that can tour all over Sweden, which hasn't even got a record deal or anything, but they sell tickets on tour, and that basically due to their TikTok account, to be totally honest. So it could be important if they are the right artists to have the right audience, and if you can find audience on TikTok, it is. But if your audience are not on TikTok, I mean, why keep doing that? And also, it's not really. It's like everything else. The artists need to be interesting in doing it and find it funny to be on TikTok, do stuff there. Otherwise, it's just completely a waste of energy to put out a lot of time on TikTok. But
Yeah,
if
I
the
think-
artist likes it, it's really good.
Yeah, think it's just interesting conversation to try to figure out just like if there are all these truths, like so the theory behind the panel was also like how if there are all these truths outside in the world where what you have to do or whatever, is it true or is it not? But I think we all know and have come to the conclusion that there's so many ways. And when I hear a lot of artists talk about, like on the topic of sustainability and environment, and the frustration it could be to try to want to reach out, and the existing culture that everyone should release their own music and so on, then you're also on your own with all these considerations like who am I as an artist, where should I go? So I'm just thinking that maybe more self-releasing artists should also be better at finding collaborations with managers and labels or coaching situation. How do you approach this matter, or what are your thoughts on this? Do you think that the artist frustration, that they are outworked or outburned, trying to figure out, is that going to grow, or is it just like that they would be better off if they had more team people around them?
Well, I think that it's always good to have a team of people around you, no matter what you do in that sense. And I feel like the frustration and the burning out and everything is also because of there's so many different channels, there's so many different ways. The artists are getting all the info, like you can release yourself, you need to just get a distributor, you just go to a label, do a good deal, no, you need to get a manager, no, actually you need a good PR person, or it's like there's too many options where to start with. And then I feel like with everything they are forgetting the main thing, that you need to create really good content, which is your music, and just try to focus on that, and then maybe try to get first one good person next to you, maybe a live agent, maybe a manager, maybe a label, someone who you can trust, and then like be open and like do the conversations. But I also understand like there's so much stuff, so many artists who are frustrated because they cannot get any of these things. So then they decide to release themselves, and when nothing happens, then they are again frustrated. So it's a circle.
And that's, I think that's interesting, because again, it's like you're trying to get a team, but you don't. Yeah. Then you probably don't have good enough music. It's like I think more artists should stop releasing music. Like there's too many bad songs or too many bad like shitty artists releasing music. It's like you're releasing music as a lottery. It's like if I send it to managers, I send it to labels, I send it to PR persons. No one wants to work with me, so I release it. It's like it's insane. It's like then you should go back and it's like, oh, I need to write better songs. I need to be a more interesting artist. I need to have something to say. It's like instead of like, oh, you're all wrong. I send it to 100 people. You're all wrong. I'm going to release this. Of course, there is examples that no one wanted to touch it, and it was a hit.
I was just going to get to that because so many people have.
No, but like in one of those cases, there are a million where the team was right. So like you're probably wrong. So like go back and write new music and develop your artistry instead of trying to prove that everybody in the industry is wrong, and like you might have a chance to be a successful artist when no one in the industry thinks that you're interested enough. I think like again, like look inwards instead of just like releasing stuff and try to do the opposite.
Yeah, I mean it's an awful industry to say, because we are working, artists are doing their own art, and then someone is saying it's not good enough. But at the same time, it's also business. So that's the thing why it's hard and why people get burned out.
Yeah, and that is also the touching on the complexity of the industry, because art is very often created for other reasons than to make profit.
Yeah, but
so I
they
think,
say-
and that could coexist with super commercial or super successful art.
And just to be clear, and it's like I'm not saying that the music isn't good enough. It's not good enough for the people that works with it. It's like this might not be as commercially successful. It doesn't say that you shouldn't do
No,
music.
exactly. I hear
And
you.
it's the same, like we had the discussion in the SOM. It's like I'm doing the Analogue. It's like being a football player and you're playing in the corp division. It's like you're not doing it to hope to there's a team going by and it's like, oh, you should play in another division. It's like you're playing the corp division because you like football and you like meeting your friends and it's a good exercise. It's like you don't think you're going to be a football professional doing it. You like continue doing football. It's the same thing with music. If no one wants to work with you, it's like that's fine. Let's just say that this might not sell. It doesn't say that you should stop playing music and writing songs. That's like continue doing that. Maybe you shouldn't put it out on Spotify and try to make a living out of it. That's the difference.
Okay. Any questions from the audience or thoughts? Any final comments from the panelists, and then we'll wrap it up. Andreas?
I somehow like the way it is right now, because I feel we are able to get an audience for our niche artists pretty easy. And I like that. But I think with certain players, DSPs, we have some issues. And I feel that we have to look at them a little bit more closely. I think one of the biggest issues I feel is tools like discovery mode coming in, where I think it's not the way to do it as a DSP, because I feel we worked with that company and they kind of delivered us algorithmic streams in their business model for a long time, and now it's changing into getting less money to get more algorithmic play. So it's
because
kind
discovery mode means
yeah.
that you get less paid for more exposure.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's things we have to look at very closely, and it makes it maybe more difficult also in a long term for all of us. So, but in terms of communication and like reaching audience, I think it's pretty cool right now. Maybe the second thing, I think we are relying a lot on a couple of big tech companies, like social media companies, and I have the feeling that we should start talking with our governments about that they build up platforms where they can reach everybody directly, and that they not even the politics or the governments are relying on social media channels to communicate with their public, and I think that's a big problem.
Yeah. Henrietta, do you want to add something? And we have a question from Joy. hang. Oh, sorry.
Hi, my name is Joy, and I'm an artist and some other stuff in this business. We have to do everything. I wanted to say a comment about not if you don't find the right team and everybody turns you down, just quit music and start working at a daycare center. For me, if I would have done that, I think a lot of evolution of the creativity within would have never happened. And I think that your comment on this is interesting because it reflects the something happening in the business where you're not able to grow and you're not able to practice in the time that you need because you expect to have a hit when you're young and have a team work for free a lot of years with you until you finally break. And I think it's like you also need to look at the perspective of who is there to make an artist grow and who is there to help them nourish and write better songs or do better performances and evolve. And in the football business, for instance, you have such a power team going at it. If you see a little talent for someone, then everybody's there for you. Like, I'll drive you to practice, go here, there's these arenas, but structurally for art, it's not built like that. So we have to be a star in your 10 or you're out of the game. And I think it's an important structural perspective on what you just said. And I agree with you. So many people come knocking on your door like, listen to my demo, I'm the greatest. And no, you're not, but you will be. Someday if you get to practice. And we're basically not allowed to do that in this business because there's no economy for practicing, for learning and for finding a team to be a manager or to be a distributor because you're supposed to know it or you're out. So I think it's, it's a two-edged sword. Just to comment on that.
Thank you.
But like there's no economy being 8 years old and practicing football. It's just costing money. So I think the structure is the same. But I agree with you. My comment was like so when you don't find the team, you release the song yourself, and hope that will find an audience or that will be successful or that will make money. But it won't. The only thing is that the market is just flooded with a lot of songs, but you can continue, like you can develop your art and your artistry without releasing music. It's like you can stand on the street and playing music to people walking by for like 8 hours a day. That will develop you as an artist. I think, like, again, to take Joshua as an example, he's been a poet. He's been like reading poems in like vegan cafes for 15 years. So when he go up on a stage and meet an audience where it's 20 people, that's a lot of people, which means that it's a crowd today, and he developed his skill without making money or without releasing songs in that sense, like by doing other things. Like he was practicing and practicing and practicing, and then finally it was good enough for a bigger team to like, this is special, and then he released it, and it still took time. But instead of like releasing a new song every month that no one would care about, that wouldn't, like, maybe it would develop his songwriting, but like doing a song, scrap it, and doing the next one would also develop him as a songwriter.
So maybe in the digital area we're sort of lost out on the old sending demo, getting feedback, developing, which was the case before with the gatekeeper system. Everything is not all bad and good, and so I think, and neither I or we will come to any conclusion or right or wrong. We're having talks, and this is why we're here, exchanging ideas. But personally, I think the world is a better place for all of you being here and for all of you creating music. Continue on that path. You wanted to say something before I wrap it up?
I wanted to say something about the soccer example.
Okay.
Because
soccer is important too.
I'm a soccer coach, so if you look at soccer, I mean, it's like every kid when they're 8 years old, they want to become like a soccer star. So you start with like a lot of kids like training, and everybody is like fighting to get like further. And at the end, it's in Switzerland, it's 1 out of 500 kids which will become a professional soccer player. And all the other 499, they're gonna keep on doing soccer because they love it, but they don't ask for money that they do this as a hobby. I think that's maybe the big difference from like the music industry. It's completely different. Everybody is kind of trying to sell their music somehow.
Yeah, and that's the exact good point. And I think that's also because it's maybe not. Maybe we need more safe space for art to develop and to have fun. And maybe the digital world and the social media stress put a lot of responsibility on artists before they are prepared. So they look at themselves as entrepreneurs or business people or counting streams, etc., marketing, before they're even where they will be. So we should all just have more fun, talk, give feedback, listen to feedback. And tonight we're going to celebrate independent music. And I'm super grateful for this discussion. Thank you, Katja. Thank you, Hugo. Thank you, Magnus. Thank you, Henrietta. Thank you, Andreas. And sorry? Yeah, well, thank you. Yeah. And there are going to be more talks. Thank you, the audience.